Who doesn't love a chicken parma when they head out? I'm going to show you today how to make the ultimate chicken parma for home. What I've got here is some skin off chicken breast, and what I've done on my chopping board is put a double layer of cling just across the top of the board there. I'm going to take the breasts out one at a time, pop them on the board, and with a sharp knife, just very carefully cut them straight down the centre there, almost all the way through, but just leave a little bit uncut just so that you can fold them out. It's called butterflying. Now the fun stuff begins. Fold the cling across, grab a mallet, and take out all of your frustrations. What the cling does is it stops me tearing through the breast, it keeps everything nice and clean and tidy, and it allows the breast to actually spread out between the two layers, so I end up with a really big sized dish. So there we go, there's our breast. Just going to open this up. Beautiful, this is going to be a huge, huge serve. Now what I've got over here, some flour, and I'm just going to season the flour a little bit. So just a pinch of salt and a pinch of pepper. In here I've got 2 eggs, and I've just added a little bit of water just to loosen them up and give it a good whisk. And over here I've got some panko crumbs, which when we've pan fried and then baked, the chicken breast will be delicious and crisp. So there's our breast. I'm going to take it carefully out of the cling. Little tip here, put your hand on the top, tip it over, and just pull it out. Makes it nice and easy. Pop it into the flour. Just pat it down a little, turn it over, and pat the other side. It's important to make sure that it's fully coated in flour because that'll enable the breadcrumbs to stick. From the flour into the egg wash, same again. Give it a little pat down, turn it over, and make sure it's fully covered because obviously the egg wash is the medium by which the crumbs will stick, and then into the breadcrumbs. Turn him over. What you can do at this stage, what I often do is just pick some of the breadcrumbs up, sprinkle them on the top, and really press them in. Now, good tip to have your tray ready. I've covered this tray with bake. I'm going to load the breadcrumb onto the bake because my hands are a bit messy now, so lift the breadcrumbed breast up, onto the bake, ready for frying. A couple of tips here. I just want to teach you a little bit about oil. I'm using a vegetable oil here. We've actually got sunflower oil. Sunflower, rice bran, any of the good veggie oils, and what you're looking for is an oil with a high smoke point, which means that you can get it quite hot in the pan. We need this at about 160 to 180 degrees, which means when the breasts go in, they're nice and crisp, the crumbs themselves don't soak up too much oil, and they'll come out with a delicious golden sheen on them. Quick test, what you can do to see if your oil's up to speed, that's quite hot now, and I think it's fairly close. Take some of the crumbs off the top of one of the breasts, just sprinkle them in, and if they start dancing around and frying and there's a bit of activity in there, the oil's pretty much ready to go. I'm just going to lift this breast up. Obviously be really careful working with oil, it is hot, this is at about 180. Lower it in really carefully, and from then onwards use tongs. Don't put your fingers anywhere near that, it is really hot, it will burn, so use tongs. Now, when that went in there, there's a lot of action going on, it's frying nicely, it's not too active, but it's moving along quite nicely. And because the oil was hot, the breast is loose in the pan. This one's almost ready to go, so I'm just going to be very careful, turn him over, and just fry the other side. This side is probably going to take about 30 seconds, so this is almost ready to go. Bring the tray over with the bake on, get a good grip on the palmy, lift him up, and pop him in the tray ready for topping. Now we're going to start topping the chicken with our tomato sauce. I want you to know how fresh this chicken is. There's a couple of chocks running around in the back there, and I think there might be one short. So I've got some tomato sauce that I made earlier here, and we've stored it in one of the Multix containers. It's a really simple recipe. We've got some diced onion, some garlic, some bay leaf, reduced down, a little bit of seasoning, and some chopped basil in there. And you'll find the recipe for that and the ingredients on the Clever Cook website. So what I'm going to do is get a spoon. Be fairly generous with your tomato on top of the palmies. Spread it all the way around. These look so good. Now I've got the oven at 200 degrees because I'm going to top these with some beautiful cheese. I've got a mixture of mozzarella and parmesan in there, which I'm going to top these generously with. You can never have too much cheese on top of a palmy. and just melt that cheese in the oven. So there we go with our tomato sauce. Just gonna go, I've got a few basil leaves here. I'm just gonna put them on top just for a little bit of color. And then try and keep the cheese on the chicken if you can. Nice and generous. Ready to go in the oven. And those little bits of cheese that have gone onto the baked paper make great pickings when it comes out of the oven. So there we are. I'm going to pop those in for about 5 minutes. Keep an eye on the cheese. I want it to melt and just start to bubble and go a little bit brown, and then these will be ready to go. So these have been in the oven for about 5 minutes. The cheese has beautifully melted. The tray's very hot. They smell really good. I'm going to use an egg spade here just to pick them up. Pop them on a tray. Just going to finish these off just with a couple of basil leaves, just to make it look pretty. And we've got a delicious kale coleslaw here as well. So there we have it. Who needs to head out? The ultimate chicken parma, a real hot hit at home.